In our previous tutorial, we covered how to use query with import range, and we finished off the tutorial by querying a list of sales that you can see here, and we wanted to see a particular company, which is in column B, and compare that against the rep name sales, which resulted in this. In this tutorial, we want to make things a little bit more dynamic and create a dashboard out of this where we can click on a cell like C1 and use a drop-down list and select from all the companies and then select from all the reps, which by the end of this should look a little bit like this, where we can now select a particular company and then we have a list of all those sales reps who have sold products to that company, and then we can select them. Okay, so let's get started. Now, if you are playing along, and I recommend that you do, you can grab a copy of this sample Google Sheet that we're going to import from in the links in the description below. Once you have that opened up, go to File and make a copy so you have your very own version, and then open up a new Google Sheet. I've called mine Import Range Dynamic Selected Dashboard Query. So the first thing we need to do is to get to the point where we have our query where we are searching for a particular company and then a particular person. After that, we'll make it more dynamic. Let's add in our headers first. So we will call this total sales for client. And then we want to select a particular client. So we'll make that column C. So let's, I'm going to hold shift down, select A1, B1 and merge those two cells. And then C, we're just going to make it a little bit wider because that will be the item number as well. So for the time being, we'll just select a random one of these. So let's go with Labadee Limited. Copy it and head back into our sheet and paste it into C1. And then in column D, we'll say and rep. And then we'll put a rep name, and we'll just use this example again, Simon Lovell. Awesome. And this is our header, so we'll make it a bit bigger. Yep, that looks pretty good there. And we can put that in bold. And we'll just zoom in one so you can see the formulas a little bit more easily. Awesome. Let's quickly import the data that we want based on our query, just like we did in the previous tutorial. So I like to start off just with the import range and then work outwards. So we go import range, and I'm going to select our URL here, which is our first argument for our import range. And then within the second argument is the name of the sheet and the range. So that's going to be the sales sheet with the range A1 all the way through to O. So sales, exclamation mark, A1, O. And let's close that and make sure everything's working. Great, everything has been loaded out perfectly. Awesome, so next we're going to build our query around this. Just after, on the right hand side of the equal sign, we will type in query and then close the brackets around our first argument, which is going to be the data that we've selected. And our next argument is going to be the query itself. So let's just open up this function line, and we can neatly put this on a new line for ourselves. Hit Control Enter. We only want to select certain columns to keep things nice and tidy. So that's going to be select. Now remember from the last tutorial, we don't use column A, B, and C when we're referring to import range data. We have to say col1, col2, col3. So we'll say col, and 1 has to be right beside the L, no spaces. So we'll go back over to our sales here. So we want 1, 2, we don't want 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. We want column 8. We don't want column 9. We want column 10, 11, 12, 13, and then the rep's name 14. Awesome. Let's head back. Select col 2, col 8, col 10, col 11, col 12, col 13, and col 14. And then we want to select what based on what rule. So we'll say select col 14 where col 2, which is going to be our company name, is equal to then single quotation marks, and it's going to be Labadee Limited. We'll copy that and paste that in. And we also just want Simon Lovell's sales for Labadee Limited. So we'll say and col, and the name of Simon Lovell is in column, it's the last column that we selected, which was column 14 over here. And let's go back. And col 14 equals Simon Lovell. Which is this dude here. Control C to copy so we don't make any mistakes. Single quotation marks, Control V to paste, and the quotation mark. And we want to see the highest price of the total here. So we can use order by to do this. So order by col 12. If we did it ascending, it would be smallest to highest, but we want it descending, so we use the shorthand DESC. And hit enter. Nice. Now we can see that Simon Lovell has 2 sales for Labadee Limited. And his highest sale was $2,572.56, followed by $799.20. Okay, so we've got our main structure for this. Let's build this out a little bit more. Let's just select row 2 and bold that because that's a header row, make it look pretty. And let's just tidy things up a little bit more here. Let's make that a little bit wider. And we can make this quantity a little bit smaller. Just makes things a little bit easier for us to read. And I might just select A3 to H and Control Shift down arrow 2 times. And let's just word wrap this so we can read things if they're quite large. Oh, and I notice here I said reb instead of rep. I'm sure that's infuriating someone. Cool. All right, so what we want to do now is to change out having to manually put in these values inside the query and put them up in here as our drop-down menu options. I'll also merge E1 and F1. Cool. Let's just identify these 2 spots first. So I've got column C and then I've got column EF merged, and let's just make them a little bit darker so the user can see that this is something perhaps that they can modify, and we'll put a border around that too. That looks better. Back over to A2 where our formula is, and let's get rid of this Labadee Limited. And what we're going to do to get out of our query string is just use the double quotation marks and then and. So this is going to concatenate or join things. And then I'm going to put a space in there. We'll do and again and double quotation marks. And then in between these two, we want to select this C1. And now that should select C1 as Labadee Limited. And we also want to do the same with E1 over here with Simon Lovell. So just keep in mind that these single quotation marks still have to be in there. Okay, so we've got our double quotation marks first, and then our ampersand and that's going to be E1 for Simon Lovell's name, the rep, and then our ampersand and again, and then double quotation marks. Let's hit enter, make sure everything's working, and we can see no change is there. However, if I change to a different sales rep or a company, that should change. So let's test that quickly. Let's go back over to our sales. Let's have a look at Russell Limited, and I hit Control C to copy Russell Limited, and if I put that in the C1, we can see that that has changed. We know that Simon's got 2 sales with Russell Limited as well. Let's change a different sales rep. Let's just use what we have here. Richard Allen Minsky. Control C over there and Control V there. And we see Richard's got 2 sales as well for Russell Limited. So we're getting pretty close to what we want. We can see the names are getting cut off though, so let's merge that a little bit more. Let's take it all the way over the H. Yeah, it looks better. And while we're here, we'll just move that in and perhaps our price in a little bit too. Okay, so our next step is to create our drop-down menus. What we need to do is to generate a list of all of the companies that we can use here as a drop-down menu. And then we also need to create a list of all the sales reps as well. Now, probably your best bet here is to put that on a separate sheet tab. But to make it easier for this tutorial for you to see, I'm just going to put it over onto the left-hand side here. So let's put a little separator in here in column I, and we'll just make that a black so you know that there's a separation. And up here I'll say another sheet. Our task now is to make a unique list of all the companies in our sales. And it's probably a good idea to make them alphabetical too, so it makes it easy for the person when they use the drop-down list here to find the company that they're looking for. So up in the top here, let's just type in company. And then underneath, let's do our import range query. And in this case, all we need to do is select from column B2 all the way down in our sales tab. So first we need the URL. I'm going to select that in our double quotation marks and then comma. And then we need our sales B1 colon B. So double quotation marks again, sales, exclamation mark, B2, because we don't want the header in this case, colon, B. Let's close that, make sure we've got it okay. Awesome, and now we've got a big long list. Now data validation in Google Sheets will get rid of duplicates, but we can give it a helping hand by using the unique function, and it's probably a good idea to sort it as well to make it easier for your users to select from the drop-down list. So let's do that now. So first we'll make our unique. We'll use the unique function on our import range. And you can see now our list is a lot shorter. It only has unique items in it for that column. And then we want to sort this column alphabetically, so we can use the sort function, which takes a range first, and then we want which column to sort. Well, we only have one, so it's going to be column 1. And is it ascending? And yes it is, so we say true. And let's close our brackets. And now we can see we have a unique alphabetical list that we've imported. So now that we have that, what we can actually do is go over to our column C and create our data validation dropdown. So let's just right click on that, go down to the bottom and view more cell actions, data validation. And yes, we want to list from a range, and we are going to select our range, which is here. Now sometimes it's cool to have a prompt, so I often put in the company as a header, and we want this to go J2 to 200. And click OK. And we want to reject any input, and we don't need to show validation help, I don't think. And let's hit save. And let's have a look at our drop-down list. So now we've got Russell Limited, and we can select from different ones. And fortunately, we've got Richard Allen Minsky in this one. Is he in this one? No. So there's no values here for Richard Allen. And we've got Gleason. He didn't make any sales for Gleason. This hard company name that I can't pronounce. And then Leffler and Sons, you can see he's made some sales there. Cool, so we've done the first part now. Let's bring column J across a bit. And our next step is to grab our list of sales reps. We can do the same thing with our reps here, and I'll hit enter. So let's do this quickly. So we've got equals import range. See if you can get ahead of me on this. And then we'll open up our double quotation marks, grab our URL, and then our tab is sales, exclamation mark, and then it's that column 14, which is the rep name over here, which is N. So sales is N2. We want the second one under the header, N. Close our quotation marks, make sure that we've got it all. Nice. And we can pretty much do the same thing we did with company here, so let's do that. Again, see if you can try and get ahead of me on this one. So unique. Now we've filtered out our list, and what's next? That's right, sort. Which column? Well, there's only one, column 1. Is it ascending? Yes, it is. Let's close the brackets. All right, now back over to E1 here, and let's go up to data this time, different way of accessing data validation. List from a range, absolutely. Let's go from reps all the way for K2 to K200 and hit enter. And reject input, yes, and save. Nice. Now we have our list of sales reps that are now dynamic as well. Let's see if we can find one from this company. Oops. There we go. There's one here. Anna Sorokin. And if we change that, see if she has any other sales elsewhere. Oh, this is getting monotonous, isn't it? Okay. So as you can see, it can get a little bit frustrating here where we've got our drop-down list for a particular company, but we're selecting a sales rep and they don't have access to that. And our users of this spreadsheet are going to get annoyed. So let's help them out a little bit here in our final step. So next, we have our reps over here. And what we're going to do is change this formula a little bit. So we're going to use Google Sheets query function on an import range value, where if the rep has a sale in a particular company, then we want them on this list here. So we will need to make a few changes to this formula. So let's just keep our raw import range here and get rid of everything else. Now our range here that we're going to import is going to be from column B this time, the company. So I'm going to select B, and we could even help ourselves out just with counting particular rows and columns by selecting column A. So let's just do that and make life a bit easier for ourselves. So we'll say A through to N. Now our next step is to wrap a query around it. So on the right hand side of the equal sign, let's type in query and open up our brackets, and we'll put in a comma now that we have our data, and let's add our query. Let's go Control Enter to put it on a new line and open up double quotation marks, and we want to select column 14. So if you remember, if we counted across from column A, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Col 14, so that's what we want to show, where the company is in our little list here. So I'll just hide this for a moment. So we want to say where the company column, this column B, contains this value here. So we'll col 2 equals, and we need to break out of our string here and put our ampersand and in, and we can select our C1 here, and then we can break back in. Oh, I missed something. We need our single quotation marks there to wrap it around. Double quotation mark again, single quotation mark. So we're quoting a particular value. And now we're saying select column 14, so the reps, where column 12 has this company in it. So now that we have our company name, let's order this. We'll say order by, and that's going to be our column 14. And let's keep it ascending. ASC is the shorthand, I believe. And then we've already got our custom header in here, this reps. So let's make header as a 0, so no header, and then close the brackets for query and hit enter. Now we've got a list of sales reps by Grant, Hope, and Benisk company, and we just want to make them unique. So we'll go over here to our query and type in unique, and wrap that right around the query and the input range and hit enter. Nice. So now when we select our drop down menu from up here, we can see we've only got those sales reps in the list who have made a sale for this company. If I change this, just have a look at column K as I make a change for a different company. So Boyle Inc. You can see now Boyle Inc. has changed, and we've got a different list of sales reps. And you can see it's come up invalid here, so we know that's not the correct sales rep, but we can now select from any rep that has made a sale there, sale for that particular company. Change that again just to make a quick test. And you can see we have a sales rep for that as well. So that's it on how to use import range to create a dynamic selector dashboard. We've used query functions and unique and sort. I'd love to hear in the comments below if you had any ideas on how you might expand on this for your own projects. It's always great to see how people use these sort of things in Google Sheets. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please click the like button And if you want to see more tutorials like this, subscribe and click on that notification bell. It really helps the algorithm and gets my videos out to other people to help them out too. Until next time.